Now we're going to get ready for our midweek Bible study. This is the CLAYTON Church of Christ. We are having our midweek study of June, this day being June the 12th, 2019. And our study is Jeroboam and Rehoboam angered God because of their sins. Jeroboam and Rehoboam angered God because of their sins. And we're coming from 1 Kings chapter 14. And once again, this is still our lesson series. We began, I think maybe around the beginning of last year. And we've taken a few short breaks in between the lessons. But I wanted to bring a lesson on the kings of Israel and of Judah to show that their everyday lives are recorded with each king and showed how each individual, some obeyed God and some did not. And so you and I can learn a lot from their lives, and we want to give you a wide range of study for the purpose of, you can't learn everything from just David or everything from Paul the Apostle, everything from Moses. You have many other men listed in the scriptures which were not these individuals, and so you can learn about their everyday decisions. They were of the Lord, some of them were not, and we can see the different lifestyles that they had, and we can see those pretending to be believers and those that actually were believers. And the design of the lessons, saints, are to help you know, okay, this individual, I'm like them, I'm a believer, and they did this. I was thinking about doing that same thing, but it went bad for them, so I'm going to switch back over and stay with the original thought that God gave me. You can see, and this is why these lessons are here. It isn't just for the history of Israel, it's for us to learn by. So 1 Kings chapter 14, and we are once again studying the punishments that were dealt out to Jeroboam and Rehoboam for their sins. And we want to continue the comprehension to know that Jeroboam was given the 10 tribes. He is going to be the front runner of a whole list of continually evil kings. And Rehoboam is the front runner after his father Solomon. He is one of many that went sour, but he is not the only one who went sour. There's others who come behind him. Then there are good ones who are going to come behind him. Now, one of the things I mentioned to y'all in our last study, and Sister Linda had some excellent questions, and I want to correct this. Forgive me for that. The incident is that the next king behind Rehoboam is going to get into a battle with Jeroboam, and he's going to say, "You all attacked Jeroboam when he was Rehoboam, when he was tender and young." But Rehoboam actually is not killed by them. I can't remember clear, but I think I may have mentioned that they attacked him and he died, but he didn't. He didn't die that way, so forgive me for that. I'm not real clear, but I want to make sure, just in case you look back to the other lesson, and it says that they did have battles all their days back and forth, but Jeroboam did not kill him. They just battled back and forth. He died, and but he did not die in a right way. And we're going to see that here in the lesson. So, 1 Kings 14, verse 1. At the time Abijah, the son of Jeroboam, fell sick. So, Jeroboam has a son, and he's sick. And Jeroboam said to his wife, "Arise, I pray thee, and disguise thyself, that thou be not known to be the wife of Jeroboam, and get thee to Shiloh. Behold, that is Ahijah the prophet, which told me that I should be king over this people." So now remember, he hadn't listened to nothing else Ahijah told him. He's been disrespectful to God, making false gods, laying claim that this is what the gods look like that brought you out of Egypt, which was a lie. But Ahijah is the one that tore the 10 pieces for him and left 2 for the analogy that Rehoboam would have 2 kingdoms, Judah and Benjamin. And so, therefore, he still knows, though. You see, this is what we have to understand. Jeroboam is like a son of Belial. He understands the concept of God. He's among God's people, but he doesn't believe it. But he knows that Ahijah is of God. So he sends him his wife to find out, is his son going to be okay? And I want to share something with y'all, saints. Don't be that type of Christian. Don't just come to church and ask for prayer when things are bad. It is a time to come. You're right. But don't let it be only at that time that you come to seek help from God when things are rough. And then we just kind of live our lives any kind of way. He may answer the prayer. He may. But that doesn't mean he's going to save, and that's a deception. And then he may not answer the prayer because you haven't been around him. I haven't been around him. And so now, this poor guy, Jeroboam, is so ignorant, he thinks he can fool a prophet. Well, I do understand that prophets don't know everything. But the problem is this would not be the prophet to trouble, because he's the one that told you exactly what God was going to do for you. But he thinks that you going to disguise yourself and ask a question he won't know. But watch the scene, how wonderful God is. Okay, he says in verse 3, take with thee 10 loaves and cracknels and a cruse of honey, and go to him. He shall tell thee what shall become of the child. Okay, now, here's an idea. I want to share something with you about the people that you know who lay claim to be of God and to be wise. There's a group of people even in the church and out of the church that for some reason, when they see something like this, they have a tendency to believe that Israel didn't handle money. That's pretty sad and ridiculous, because Israel knew exactly what money was. I mean, that's not a nation on earth that doesn't have a concept of money and funds and things of that nature. But there are some people who they feel somehow that the reason he's going to take this food is because there's a lack of funds. This guy is a king. Jeroboam is a king of the largest group of Israelites on the earth. 10 tribes. And so he's sending these items though, because think about life like this. When you want somebody to be receptive of you, favorable to you, you don't just bring them money. What about if you brought them some food, some delicious food to eat? And multiple amounts of it. And you bring it's more of a, hey friend, how you doing? Look, I brought you a big bowl of spaghetti. I brought some salad too. You're like, wow, that's nice. See, because now I can just jump right in and eat. I don't think, give me money, I got to go buy something. So don't think in your mind that Israel wasn't familiar with funds and handling things. But food is a much more pleasant gift when you're trying to seek favoritism, because it shows a hospitality move. Because if anybody got money, it's Jeroboam. You can take it to the bank. But remember, the woman is coming to disguise herself as just a woman that loves Ahijah, loves the law, and wants to just hear, what's going on with this young boy who is this child who is, possibly going to die, who is Abijah. Okay. And so what happens is, verse 4, and Jeroboam's wife did so, and arose and went to Shiloh and came to the house of Ahijah. But Ahijah could not see, for his eyes were set by reason of his age. Now see, it isn't just that he can't see like some of us where I go ask to read. Ahijah has gone blind. He has a loss of sight because of blindness. And so, but it's due to his age. And so you could give him glasses and it's still going to be trouble. We don't know what he had, but he can't see. So he can't recognize people. So she disguised herself too. And the Lord said unto Ahijah, behold, the wife of Jeroboam cometh to ask a thing of thee for her son, for he is sick. Thus and thus thou shalt say unto her, for it shall be when she cometh in that she shall feign herself to be another woman. So see, they forgot that God talks to Ahijah. See, he can't see, you're right, and you're going to disguise that, which even double trouble. But the Lord said it's going to be his wife. And so he's going to help him know, because it could have been several women come to talk to him that day. But he's going to help him know this is the one. Verse number 6. It was so when Ahijah heard the sound of her feet Listen at that. As she came in at the door, that he said, "Come in, thou wife of Jeroboam." Now, boy, that really shocks you, don't it? You come in with all this nice food, 1 Kings chapter 14 and verse number 6, all this nice food, and you walk on in here, and your feet scratch the ground a little bit, and he knows it's Jeroboam's wife. Isn't this amazing? It said, "Come in, thy wife Jeroboam, while faintest thyself to be another, for I am set to thee with heavy ties." He's telling you, you can disguise yourself, but I got bad news for you. I got bad news for you. Go tell Jeroboam, "Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, for as much as I exalted thee from among the people, and made thee prince over my people Israel, and rent the kingdom away from the house of David, and gave it thee, and yet thou hast not been as my servant David, who kept my commandments, and who followed me with all his heart to do to do that only which was right in mine eyes, but hast done evil above all that were before thee. For thou hast gone and made the other gods and molten images to provoke me to anger, and hast cast me behind thy back." Okay, y'all, now let's take a minute on this, and feel free to comment. Why would God expect this guy to act like David if he's not kin to David? He's not kin to David. He is born to Nebat, a servant who works for Solomon. There's no bloodline connected. That's not Solomon's baby. And so the thing we have to stop in our mind and understand is and say, well, why would God expect him to rule like David? Because he knows the story. He grew up in Solomon's house. He knows what's going on. He knows right from wrong. He's watched Solomon. He understands the story. And saints, what you and I have to understand is God is going to hold you and I accountable for hearing about righteous women in the Bible. You don't have to worry about no people you see on the earth. Righteous men in the Bible. Righteous young people in the Bible. Righteous old people in the Bible. You may say, why? Because sometimes when you get old, you get tired of foolishness. You start cussing folks out. Telling people to get out your house, whatever. You get tired. When you're young, you start acting crazy. Cussing folks out and tell people to get out of your house because you think you're running everything. So the sins ping pong each other. But the key is that when you have power or whether you are a humble servant of the law, it is irrelevant. God has a prototype and he expects us to follow. Jeroboam's a king. He expected him to do exactly what David did. He did not care who he's kin to or who he's born unto. He says, "Therefore, behold, I will bring evil upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off from Jeroboam him that pisseth against the wall." So that's all the males. "And him that is shut up and left in Israel," he says, "and will take away the remnant of the house of Jeroboam, as a man taketh away dung, till it all be gone." Wow! Wow! Now look here. Now see, we got to handle this now. We got to handle this. And we want to make some clear points on this because God is extremely serious about what he's saying. One thing we want to understand is the dung, who leaves manure behind? When you got manure all around, like, man, it stinks. So how do you clean? You keep cleaning till you can't smell it. He said, "I smell something in the corner." Go more soap and water. He said, "All the dung is gone. We can't even smell it." He said, "I'm going to wipe all your lineage out. There won't be a hint of it around." That's the point he's making. That's the point he's making. And so, we want to make sure we get that because God is angry. And, one of the things we have to understand, and we want to bring this home to our brethren today. Brethren, let's stop for a minute and investigate. What really does Jeroboam really do wrong? What does he do wrong? Well, he doesn't go to church where he's supposed to, which is in Jerusalem. He says, but we going to church. We going to church. We talking about a God that's above. We saying this is the God that brought us out of Egypt. He looks like these golden calves. We're doing some good things, right? We're doing some bad, And the idea is, but, there's a lot of love here, And you have to stop for a minute and think. He's a believer. He sends his wife not to any of his prophets because he has his own. And he has his own priest. But he doesn't say he's sent to a real man of God. He's a believer. So you gotta stop and say, well, why doesn't God just say, he's trying. He still knows who I am. Because God don't play fool just like that. And you need to tell your family and all these naysayers who mouth off with their disrespectful tones trying to determine what God will allow and what God will not. You see, one thing you have to understand, saints, is that the stronger you are in God, the more you start thinking that you don't have to check with God on stuff. You got a lot of nonsense coming out of saints' mouth, past, present, and future. Because they look at their laurels, like old folks used to say, what they have accomplished, the good things they've done. They try to say, it's all about Jesus. Yeah, but you're looking at it. Because that's the only thing that makes sense that would make you think you're somebody. People you've helped financially, maybe people you've helped with services, for doing things for them, lessons you've taught, people you've baptized, behind the scenes good works that only you and God know about. And you begin to smell the glory of those, and you begin to just say crazy stuff. Just crazy stuff. You whisper to other saints, and it gets around. Nobody cares. Listen, if God didn't say it, who really care what we say anyway, just to be honest? If it's not of the law, nobody care about comments or thoughts. And it doesn't really shake anybody. If you're weak, it will. You have to ask God for strength. But you have to stop at some point and go, what is Jeroboam really doing wrong? What's he doing wrong? He's doing the things that God asked him not to do. That's what he's doing wrong, saints. And you think God would get this mad and make a Ahijah give such a long speech with great detail and take a child's life? Well, yeah, God said, yeah, because I know the child brings you joy. He's your hope for the next king, but I'm killing him. And all the other ones that pee against the wall, I'm killing them too. Just to let you know, there's not going to be nobody from your bloodline ever sit on my throne. And somebody say, well, why would he kill people who are not your bone? Because they're going to be like him. He's going to kill your family too, and mine, our friends and our relatives that are like us if we sin. You say, why? Because God does not punish the innocent with the guilty. So they're not innocent. Rehoboam is not innocent. He's disrespectful. He's so disrespectful. He's more disrespectful than Solomon, and that's why the king was taken. But he does let Solomon know, I'm taking it because you're a crook too. Now Solomon gets himself in gear, but he says, that's not going to fix it. I'm still taking it from your boy. And I'm taking it from David. All but since I love David so much, we're leaving one tribe, but actually it's two, Judah and Benjamin. And so this is where we're at the point of the story. And so now we see verse number 11. Him that died of Jeroboam in the city shall the dogs eat. So he's telling me he's letting his wife, this is his wife, and she got to go tell him the same story. In addition that the baby dead is going to die. And so it says, when they die, it's not going to be no nice burial. And the Lord, as Brother Keith has taught before, eaten by a dog was a sign, not today, was a sign at this time of degradation. Dog ate him? Ooh, he's cursed. He's cursed. And so he says, and him that died in the fields shall the fowls of the air. You know how bad it is? Let me tell you how bad it is for a bird to eat up a dead person. When David took the lives of the young men who were a part of Saul's family because Saul had treated the Gibeonites bad, when David had destroyed them, or let them be destroyed by the Gibeonites, there's a woman that ran out and she was trying to keep the birds from eating their flesh. All day long she kept swinging at them. And it was told to David, she kept swinging at him. He didn't say nothing about it. Just let it go. Let it go. Think of the fowls supposed to eat up. That's all right. They're dead anyway. But fowls eating the flesh was bad negative. It says, for the Lord had spoken it. Arise thou therefore, get thee to thine own house, and when thy feet enter into the city, the child shall die. What a horrible message. But look at your husband. he's a fool. Your man is a devil. And a lot of people got to realize this. If your husband is crazy, you better act like you got some sense with God. Y'all hear me, saints? Y'all hear me well? If your husband talking crazy, acting crazy, living crazy, making raggedy decisions, you better act like you got some sense with the Lord and talk some sense into him and do something. Because don't nobody want to hear anything about why it's going that way. Just want to know what you doing about it, sister or lady next door. Because God is saying, I'm going to hit you with the bad news. So she understands that once her foot crosses the property line and you touch that area, your baby going to die. Isn't that powerful? Wow. Verse number 13. And all Israel shall mourn for him and bury him, for he only of Jeroboam shall come to the grave. Watch this now. Out of all the people that's going to die in his lineage, this is the only boy going to get buried like we would like to bury people. He says, because in him there is found some good thing toward the Lord, God of Israel and the house of Jeroboam. So out of all the people affiliated with Jeroboam, this one son, Abijah, even though he's young, God has said, yeah, see, he would do good toward me. But I'm taking him from you. Why? Because you're a bunch of devils. So I'm not going to let y'all, it'd make you happy if I let him stay. But I'm taking him. But it's not because he's evil. I'm going to let him get buried the right way. Because I've seen good toward me. So if this young man had lived and grown, he may have been possibly the only good king that the 10 tribes of Israel would have seen. Yet God said, nah, I'm taking him from you because you don't deserve him. Because I found good in him. There's no good in you, Jeroboam wife, or your raggedy husband. But there's good in him. And you know, this explains to us a lot about death. When we see death, how it happens. We try to figure and lick our finger and stick it to the wind, so to speak, metaphorically, try to figure out which way is God going. Listen, it could be a death like this. It could be a death like David and Bathsheba. Well, you know, y'all so nasty and wild, I'm going to take your baby. And I want the other world to know when I take your baby that I don't like y'all. It could be the child is wicked and evil. But we have to stop and understand we don't know which way. So we don't need to say nothing at the funeral but God comfort our hearts and preach the gospel. And if you saw any nice deeds they did, talk about it. Past that, don't say nothing. When you start putting people in heaven and saying why things happen, you don't and I don't know anything. What we need to do is just do what the Lord said. And we should make it to heaven if we live faithfully. And so he says here, moreover, verse 14, the Lord shall raise him up a king over Israel, who shall cut off the house of Jeroboam that day. But what? He says, even now. Did you hear that? The Lord said, you know, I'm going to raise him. He said, but what? Even now, the Lord said, I got it in control now. Girl, by the time you get back, your house going to be upside down, including your future. Starting with your child dying. He said, even now, I got this going. By the time the Lord starts talking to us about something, it's over. That's the thing we have to understand. And by the time the Lord starts talking about something good, it's already in the works. But what we have to understand is, you must understand, and this is beautiful, this explanation, because God is holding this woman accountable for what her husband's been doing. One thing you and I have to understand, brethren, is this. There is no place for sisters in the church that when their husbands say hop, they're already in the air 3 feet. And then ask him, why am I leaping? There's no place for you in the church. What am I saying, Ozan? I'm not saying leave the church. I'm saying there's no place for you. Whoever's listening to this won't have you in China. Because you are like Sarah, you're no value to him or to the Christian community. Because Sarah let her husband continue before 2 different men lie and say, he's my brother, causing all drama and damage. But the idea is that you must understand when you look in the Bible, if it says it's wrong to do a thing, you better not let your husband talk you into accepting that, because God don't whoop you good too. Watch this. It doesn't matter if you're doing that thing he doing. It doesn't matter if you're the leader of it. If you just agree to it, you're in trouble too. Ananias and Sapphira, Acts chapter 5. Look, what did they do wrong? They gave money. I mean, my goodness, isn't that enough? They gave up their own stuff, but they lied. And she, the Bible says, was privy. What does that mean? She's in agreement. It's the plan, but she's in agreement to it. And so therefore you have to understand, you don't get out of it, that's him, Lord. There's no such thing as a that's him, Lord. You in the house, y'all eating chicken out the same bowl, sleeping in the same bed, walking around the same house, and you see what your husband doing, and you gonna sit there and act like you don't know that that's not right. Well, no ma'am. It's not gonna be that way for none of you. And I'm saying you because I'm not a woman. And it's not going to be that way for none of us as men if we allow our wives to be a Jezebel where they can just say and do anything, stir up mess and go steal vineyards and have innocent men killed, or have innocent men killed with their mouth saying things against righteous people who have done no wrong. No, brother, you're not going to get no pass card either. Because ask Abraham, why did two men come from the Lord? Ask him, why is your wife laughing? And he can't even hear her laughing because she laughed in her heart. Can you imagine his eyes? Somebody talking to you and you feeding them, you already know they're from God, and they say, why your wife laughing? You go like, what's she at? Because they know she laughed. And she come around the corner, I didn't laugh. And they say, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And now you look like, I didn't even know she was laughing. Because you're accountable. Because the response should be, she must be laughing. They're waiting. Answer. You need to know why. Why would people laugh at a prophecy of God? Because I don't believe it. Could it be that possibly you kicked it off by howling about why can't Ishmael live? It's not about Ishmael. It's about Isaac. That's the way it is. And so, providing all these things I've said, it must be in violation of God's word. But remember this, saints, brothers and sisters. Don't try to move the chalk line of the Lord. Like the old cartoon used to do. They draw the chalk line and the guy turns his head and run with his foot and draw. Don't try to change the chalk line. If that's too short, it's too short. If it's too naked, you just too naked. Especially when the world got to come tell you too naked. You know something wrong with you. You know when the world got to come tell you, baby, that's too tight. The world, you couldn't see that and you in the church? Oh, nah, come on, y'all. Come on now. So we have to understand something clear. Is that God is not going to accept you at the judgment. Miss Jeroboam told, well, see, he's the king, Lord. You didn't understand. I didn't understand everything. You knew my word too. You were supposed to tell them don't do that. You're in agreement. That's why your baby going to die. Game over. And this is the way it will be. Ask yourself, did God allow Adam a pass card when he accepted to allow Eve to start leading and come up with an idea that totally goes against what God said? I mean, what is really wrong with eating a piece of fruit? People can start asking, well, what's wrong with God? Why even put the tree there if he wants to eat it? Because he wants to know, do you trust him and do you have faith in him? That's why. You may ask, why does he allow the crack house to be down the street from me? Because he wants to see if you trust him. But I've been trying to work with my child. He wants to see if your child trusts him. He wants to see what you're going to do with an unruly child to keep going to the crack house. So why does he do anything? Who's going to ask God? See, this is why we fail test and die lost. Because at some point we say, this person is more important to me than God right here. Or this person that I met here, they're more important to me than God. See, that's what it screams to the Lord. It says, I know you know what to do. And so here we go, he says in verse 15. For the Lord shall smite Israel as a reed is shaken in the water, and he shall root up Israel out of this good land, which he gave to their father, and shall scatter them beyond the river, because they have made their groves provoking Lord's name. Now you know what's supposed to happen to Miss Jeroboam. When she get back, she's supposed to touch her foot on that property and know in her heart this baby dead. I expect to walk in the house and baby. And when I hit the house and the baby dead, I'm finna turn everything upside down. I'm finna act a fool up in here. They gonna think. Cause I'm finna get all these idolatries out of here. I'm gonna go in person, get some servants to knock this calf down. They gonna have to kill me. But do she do that? I don't hear no report about that. See, he's going through a long story about Israel. Why would he tell her that? Because God loves Jeroboam's wife too. Y'all ever thought about that? I want you to know the future, the history of people that act like you. And all she got to do, according to Ezekiel, is turn the other way. It's her chance. You better stand in your husband's face saying, look, I know you're the king, I love you, but I'm going to go and move up down to Judah if you don't change. Because you're going to put all us in hell. We're all going to Sheol. She has authority to say that. We're talking about when it's sin, not something you think is wrong. We're talking about we can read. This is a sin not to go to church 3 times a year, man. This is a sin for you to have these calves. That's easy understood stuff. Now you done cost my baby his life. Got me hooked up with you too. It's time to say something different. That's what we have to understand. And he shall give up Israel because the sins of Jeroboam, who did sin, who made Israel sin. See, when you hear the law say, because this person sinned, say, this is the catalyst. But because you follow the sin, you going down the tubes with him. And Jeroboam's wife arose and departed and came to Tirzah. And when she came to the threshold of the door, the child died. And that's a threshold of the door. The baby died. And they buried him. Or the young person died, should I say. And all Israel mourned for him according to the word of the law, which he spake by the hand of his servant Ahijah the prophet. And the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, how he warned and how he reigned, behold, they're written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the days which Jeroboam reigned, look how long this guy was, 22 years. And he slept with his fathers, and Nadab his son reigned in his stead. You know, when you see a man rule for 22 years, how can God be against him? 22 years. Man, if a guy gets 2 terms as president, people turn and flips. 8 years, 22 years. You think he gotta be with God. God has obviously provoked his heart to do these things, but it's not. But you see, the problem with this situation, saints, is that you look at this and you wonder, what is wrong with this family? What is wrong with these people? Let's see what happens to Rehoboam. And Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem. That's another 17 years. You think, surely he is holy. He is in the city of Judah. 17 years. He says, and in Jerusalem, the city which the Lord did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah, and Ammonitis. And Judah, now y'all catch that? Ammonitis? That's one of Solomon's buck wild women. Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember, many outlandish and an Ammonite. Can you imagine that? And Judah did evil in the sight of the Lord, and they provoked him to jealousy with their sins, which they had committed above all that their fathers had done. So they're just as wild as Israel, the 10 tribes. But they also built them high places. Now look, you know what's sad about Rehoboam? He's in the city that is so holy. He's in the city that Jeroboam is scared to come down. Because Jeroboam feels it's so holy that when they come down and see Rehoboam, they're going to want to love him. They're just as crooked as you, man. This is the city, this like the church house, and they are building high places. You say, what's a high place? It's a place they built up where you say, well, let's go up here and worship. That's not the church. That's not the temple. Well, we want to go worship somewhere else, meaning what? We want to do, now say, it's going to make me an enemy. Let it go. We want to do something different. They're in Judah. They're there 3 times a year. But we want something a little different. Let's just build a high place. What's wrong with a high place? It's higher towards heaven. That's what they're trying to say. It's higher than where y'all are. We're just trying to reach the Lord a little closer. But the Lord said, I didn't tell you do that. Did I tell you do that? You want to make somebody really mad at you? Not that you would like to. This is just speaking sarcastically. Make sure you say exactly what Jesus said and God. And you got an enemy. You can count. You can take it to the bank. Solid gold enemy. Because it's too specific. So he says images and groves. So they put images into maybe rocks, dirt, concrete type images. But they would stay there. Paintings and grove, which is where, you see, groves are hard to deal with. Because you can put a grove in a big, thick tree. A cedar like Lebanon. And so you have it deep in the woods. You see all them trees, a chance of seeing that. You won't. You just go there and see. Why is that bothering God? Has anybody ever thought about why would it bother God that I go to church 3 times a year and bring my 10% all on like he asks, but he has got a problem with me looking at a tree picture? He sounds like he jealous. You better believe it. He's not jealous because that thing exists. He's not jealous because of the fact is that it makes him feel less because you love it. He's angry because he did so much for you and you turn your back on it. See, we have to understand the angles of jealousy. Sometimes a person jealous because they are less than a person that they got dumped from. So they get jealous. A guy beating up his wife every day, he's jealous. Now if you pick the man that don't hit her. He ready to kill you and him. But he is a loser. You should leave him. The problem is that God is not a loser. So his jealousy is, you're disrespecting me. And I'm still letting you breathe. Why are you disrespecting me? So that's where it's at. It says, he says, on every high hill and under every green tree. So that means that it's just, everybody's doing it. People say that all the time. Most of the churches are doing this. Most of the churches are doing it. So it's the same thing here. I don't know why this bothers us. I mean, why does it bother us? There's a lot of churches of Christ that they do pretty basically what they want. What they want. And sometimes we like it. It's like they love each other over there. Yeah, you can love each other and still go to hell. Trust the Lord. There will be 2 Buddhists Google-eyed over each other and will be faithful to the day they die to each other. And they will die lost because there is no such thing as a Buddha God. But they will love each other. And they'll mourn when one dies. And they may say, I'll never touch another. They're still going to die lost because I say, who is Buddha? So it isn't about actions that are done that are loving and kind. It's about, do you serve God from the heart? And so a couple more thoughts as we wrap up. And there were also sodomites in the land. Look at that. So get excited about homosexuals. They had them right here. Sodomites in the land. And they did according to all the abominations of the nation which the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. Just like the homosexual community performs today. The homosexual community mutilates its body. I'll make sure this thing is on. Praise God. Mutilates its body. Disrespects the creation of God, the beauty of the body, disrespects. You have people today, and you've always had them. You've always had them. But today it is a glory for people to not know if you're a man or a woman. It's a glory. And the more you look less like listen to me, man or a woman is more glory. Because I'm a new thing. You got guy wearing a dress and a suit combined twice, and he's won the hearts of everybody twice. And when asked, he said, I'm never going back to what I wore before. Nobody care what you wear. But we know one thing, you won't be wearing nothing but howling cries and screams in hell. Because God is for real. He said, don't even act like a woman. If you're a man, don't even dress like a woman if you're a man. You better find out in your land what women wear. You better ask some questions in your land and say, what do women wear? Is that what they wear? Okay, I'm not going to wear that. Now, what do the men wear? You better act like you know what's going on. Because God is saying, so you trying to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, right? See, that's what this guy and all the guys like him. It's a glory now. If you make a movie, you have to have a major homosexual character. You want to make some money, because they may not come and watch it. That's where it's at. Brother William? Mm-hmm.
Like Medea. Mm-hmm. A lot of people talk about that Medea pretty much, what's his name, Tyler Perry? Mm-hmm. Pretty much by you looking at his movies and stuff, it's a sin, you know. Mm-hmm. But really, it is wrong for him to actually do that, dressed as a woman, you know, in the movies. And you have these other movies the same. They got homosexual, and anything you see, even commercials that have homosexual.
Yeah, now, 2 men holding hands. 2 women kissing. Yeah, all on TV.
But me personally, when I used to look at Tyler Perry movies, it was like, you know, is it wrong? Is it right? Mm-hmm. So pretty much, I say, you know what? I'm gonna stop watching them type of movies when he, you know, playing as pretty much as a drag queen. Actually, what it is. But actually, I had stopped watching his movies. You know,
I understand. And you know, one thing I want to say, thank you for sharing that with me. I got you, brother Kevin. One thing we have to understand, when you get into acting and things of that nature, from what I know, I don't think he wants to be a woman. And I don't think the movie is portraying him as a drag queen, but he's supposed to actually be a woman. So the role he's playing, in all fairness to all parties involved, is he's acting like a real woman. In the sense that he's not trying to say, well, Medea's gay. And so in that case, it's a film like a guy acting like a king, a guy acting like a soldier. He's not a real soldier. He probably wouldn't be able to shoot a gun if you held a gun to his head. But the key is that what you're speaking about is if people look at that and they think, they think that's what he's doing. Yeah, if they think that he's trying to act like a drag queen, which means a man acting like a woman, then they're not understanding the movie properly. And at the same time, if they did that in life, then we would be like, well, you trying to act like a woman, you know, or what? Because in his portrayal, to my knowledge, he's trying to act like he's trying to say, this is a real woman, and this had children, what have you, whatever. So the idea, but these people who are dressing like women, they're trying to tell you, I'm not a woman. Like RuPaul, he said, no, I'm a man.
But you,
I'm just like a woman.
By you participating, by you watching it, actually, a lot of people probably wouldn't agree. You know, I don't know if you guys, you know, some of you guys, I don't know, but a lot of people, Christians do watch Medea. They think it's funny, but you know, but you actually participate in seeing when you watch that type of movie.
Well, the idea is that we want to make sure. I see what you're saying. We want to make sure we clarify and know, though, if he's literally trying to make you think he's a man, act like a woman, then, you know, that's something that you don't want to emulate, you know. Because when we watch movies, we have people portraying murderers, bodies roll out, guy's not dead, you know. So we don't want to say, well, then, you know, you want to kill somebody because you saw that and you clap when that guy cut the guy's head off, which it really didn't happen, you know. So we want to make sure we clarify those. But in real life, if you cut a man's head off, you're going to jail and hell. If you dress like a woman, that's a problem. But now when you watch a movie and a guy's saying, well, I'm playing the role of a drag queen, that role is sin.
What do you think?
It's good.
What do you think? Do you watch Medea movies?
I mean, I've seen them, yeah. But the idea is now, I don't see him trying to say he's a drag queen in the movie. He's supposed to be a real woman. I'm saying he's supposed to be a real woman. That's the portrayal, you know. And you have sometimes women will act like a man in the movie because they can play and they're funny and it's a joke and it's a comedy thing. But I don't want to impress on you or anyone's mind that he's trying to act like a woman in the movie. He's trying to say I am a woman in the movie and it's a joke thing. But in life, if that were real, that would be what the Lord is saying, dressing as a woman. You see, but he's trying to act to say, I am a woman in the movie, because he's saying, I can play the role of a woman. You know, not doing anything sexual, you know, and it becomes a comedy thing. But the idea is if someone feels uncomfortable about that, they don't have to do that. But in life, we're talking about in real life. Someone say, well, Medea dress up like that, but I would tell them, if they ask me, I would say, he's trying to be like a woman. You trying to be a real woman? If they said, yeah, I would say, well, you're sinning. because he's doing a comedy skit, you know. Or you trying to act like a man who wants to just act like a woman, like RuPaul, then you're sinning still. See, a person has to understand, because he's doing a role like if he was a gangster. He's not a real gangster. He wouldn't go shoot people like he's done, because it's fake. It's not real bullets. So that's kind of what the difference. Because I want to be fair to everybody who's involved, you know, with these types of things, you know, to where they can understand the concept.
So pretty much it's not a sin as far as you looking at the movie.
Yeah, because see, you're not doing that. I mean, you know, and he's actually saying Medea's a real woman. It's a character, character performance. You know, like somebody said, you know, he's not King Arthur guy, like they say, but yeah, well, he's just acting like that. You wouldn't want to go to work dressed up like King Arthur. There'd be something happened to Ozan. He's lost his mind. He came in dressed like King Arthur. You know, so and that's what we want to, in that sense, because we want to make sure that we don't make people feel like they've sinned. But now, when you engage in certain things that on television, that where they are showing homosexual activity, nakedness, or even a homosexual relationship. See, now what they're saying is this is a real homosexual movie, and even though they don't get naked, they're portraying, okay, this is an acceptable lifestyle. See, those are images that God's not happy with. You see, He's not happy with that, because He said, okay, you can make any kind of movie you want, but don't promote sin in this sense. Because according to my knowledge, a little bit I know about him, he's supposed to be a real woman. And he's not saying, well, no, Medea's a man acting like a woman. So I don't know if anybody have any other thoughts other than that. Good thought, William. God bless you for bringing to Brother Kevin and Sister Hamilton. Good thought.
Yeah. I also want to say that, you know, when you see those kind of comedy movies, Medea, stuff like that, you have to also think that it can send, you know, our young children mixed messages when they see those type of movies. And so that's why it's important that parents have to explain to their children, you know, if they're at the age where they can understand, you know, the what it depicts and the purpose, you know, of it, so that they won't, you know, grow up having some kind of identity crisis of who they really are.
Yes.
And, you know, to where they'll start getting in the mirror, start putting on women wigs and things of that nature.
Exactly. Good point.
And so they'll grow up with that type of identity crisis. And that's how that can start. And then they'll start growing up wanting to be like a woman when they was born a man. And so I just wanted to just kind of add that thought into that.
Well said, brother. God bless you.
Too much TV, video games. That's what really taking the kids' mind. Video games.
That's a good point. You're right, and you're like both our brothers saying, you have to make sure that your children, when they see it, they have a good understanding. No, because you just can't turn them loose. That's why you want to watch TV with your kids. Watch TV. You know, don't always go, we got 3 TVs, I'm gonna go watch my show here, and you go, well, you know, you gotta watch with your kids. You gotta kind of just keep an eye on what they're watching. And then when they watch something by themselves, they can make decisions. Reason being, because your mind sees this. And God, once again, at the job, He's going to say, yo, okay, I want to talk to you about how you raise your kids. Because we're responsible for how we bring them up. That's what we want to make sure.
I couldn't remember that scripture, but you know the scripture that says if we were to leave sin, we would have to leave the world.
Yes, yes. 1 Corinthians chapter number 5.
Yeah, and it just kind of coincides with what you were saying, because like there's just certain things that you're not gonna get away from.
That's true.
And you're gonna have to teach your children and just like live and have understanding, because like you gonna see crazy stuff everywhere.
That's true. You will. Very well said. And so, you know, and God bless all 3 of you and anybody else who has thoughts along that line. And okay, Brother William, No, please, we want to get it on there. We need it, man.
I had told my wife and said if it was up to me, I wouldn't have no TV in the house.
Right, I understand, brother.
I don't even watch TV.
Right, but you know, an idea. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. TV is on the program in mind. That's how it is. On your cell phone stand too.
Yeah, it sure can. Yeah.
Cell phone ain't nothing but a bill. It takes money from the house. So ain't nothing but a bill.
Go ahead, Sister Al.
No, just real fast. I was just gonna say in Romans chapter 14.
Okay.
I think Romans 14, where it talks about if you have a problem with meat or whatever the case may be, then basically, you know, within that scripture, you see, don't go against your conscience.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if you
Very
feel
well
uncomfortable about it, don't do it. If it's not even though it's not a sin, if you think it's a sin, then you shouldn't do it.
Amen. Well said. Thank you, sister. And this is a good subject that applies to, because you're not actually doing the Medea dress up. You know she's actually acting, or the person acting like a real woman in the scene. And so this is a good discussion. We run out of time, but God bless y'all. We save the best for last. And one of the reasons being is this, is that if you watching it and offends you or causes you stumble, you say, I'm not comfortable, that's where Romans 14 does come into play. You say, well, I don't want to watch. At the same time, the other person may say, well, I got a good understanding of it. I don't want to dress up like a lady. I know he's trying to portray. He's not being RuPaul. He's actually saying, you know, in the scene, he's a woman. And so then your mind can hold fast to the understanding, and then, you know, then you respect. And that's why sometimes it is good to have maybe a couple of TVs if you can. So we kind of watch TV time for an hour or so, you know, then we'll come back and watch something together. And that way you can have some harmony in the family, because what you don't want to do is have yourself boxed in where you, as Sister Allen said, you think that you can avoid the world. You can't, because there's one TV that you cannot avoid, and it is constantly moving, and that is life. Like Sister Hamilton said, you step outside, I'm telling you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it is movie time. And you can't stop, you can't change that channel. You go on to Kroger's, the person waiting on you, may you say, if they held a gun to my head, I wouldn't know if it was a man or woman. Just let them check out your groceries and say thank you and go. That's what you do, because you're not going to be able to avoid it. But you should be able to love them. If they tell you get your track, say I'm not into the Lord, say well that's okay. Have a great day, and you should still be able to love them. Because one day they may come up to you and say, I remember you. You know, I'm having some trouble in my life. Can you pray for me? And you just pray for them. Because we got to understand, we cannot leave this earth. We are in the vineyard. We are working. And we are beneficial to all lives. If they just look at us, they should be able to gain some understanding. And so, therefore, we understand that, want to give this final thought. And it came to pass in the 5th year of King Rehoboam that Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Israel. He took away the treasures of the house of the Lord, the treasures of the king's house. He even took away all the shields of gold which Solomon had made. And King Rehoboam made in their stead brazen shields. He is not gold no more. Something's been changed. And committed them into the hand of the chief of the guard, which kept the door of the king's house. And it was so when the king went to the house of the Lord, that the guard bound them and brought them back into the guard chamber. See, remember his daddy used to go to church with gold shields. He's going with brazen shields. You see the difference? There's been an alteration in the walk of this family. This family is an altar. I want to make sure y'all hear me in this. When there's an alteration in your faith, in what you tell others in your house to do, your family is going to be affected. You can pray all day, because you can't stop me as a child looking at you, telling me how I'm going to think about you. You can't. So whatever decision you make, you got to remember, God's going to bring to the judgment and say, you know, if you hadn't have done this, your children would not have done that. And when you're going to argue God, throw a rock at it? No. So you need to understand, you can't play yourself. Other people doing it's okay. It's not bad. See, you can talk all that, but there's a way you can ask yourself, would Elijah have done this? Listen, yeah, would Anna, who was at the temple right when they bring in baby Jesus, would she have been doing it? That's what our lives want to pattern out.
No, but I just want to ask. I was reading this before. This when he said 25th that the Shishak king of Egypt, he came in. He was a war, and he took a portion of it.
Yeah, the war. Thank you. Good question, sister. The king of Egypt came and attacked. And, you know, Egypt hadn't been bothering Israel in years, but they had a power now to come in. The very people who used to have them slaves whooped them and take all of the lost stuff and took stuff out of his own house too. And so, you know, when the Lord would allow men to come in and take stuff out of his house, he was sending a message to his people. I'm not with you no more. I'm going to let them take my stuff, because y'all no good. They gonna take it. And then he knew it was gonna hurt their heart that they had lost that beauty, that what the temple was supposed to be beautiful. Those vessels were blessed. They had been there for years. They had been brought in by Solomon, and this thing was blessed with prayer. And now thief can walk in from another nation and take it, and the law don't let him have a stroke. He walk out and run off on a horse with your stuff after he beat you down. The law let him know, I'm not with you no more. And so we have to understand the end here is that we see there was war between Jeroboam and Rehoboam all their days. And Rehoboam slept with his fathers, was buried with his father in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah, and Ammonitis, and Abijam, Abijam, his son, reigned instead. So, God bless you all. Thank you for hanging in there with us as we went over some here. But we wanted to get those thoughts in at the end. They are very prevalent to our life today. If you're here, not a member of the church, recognize you got to be baptized. If you've been baptized into some false belief system like Catholic, Methodist, and Baptist, you need to be baptized again. You say, how can you say that? Acts 19, 1 through 5, we beg you read that, and you will see why did they get baptized again. Well, a baptism which came actually from John the Baptist. If that one wouldn't do, then yours made up by a man who was not sent by the Lord will not do. So if you can accept that, recognize that when it's preached, Jesus died, buried, on the third day, rose again. Jesus himself told them what to say. They didn't figure it out themselves. He said, he that believes and is baptized shall be saved. Mark 16, 16, he that believes not shall be damned, which is to be cursed into hell. When Peter preached the first day of the New Testament being where the church is opened up to the world, they asked him in Acts 2:37, men and brethren, what shall we do? He said, repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Jesus Christ, for the remission of sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost. For the promises unto you and unto your children, and to all that are far off, even as many as the Lord our God shall call, in many words he testified and encouraged them, saying, save yourself from this untoward, which is perverted generation. Then they that gladly received his word were baptized the same day. 3,000 souls were added unto them. They continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine, in the fellowship, which is to walk in the light as Christ is in the light, 1 John 1, the breaking of bread, and in prayers. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. And we understand that. Acts 2:47. In Acts chapter 8, the eunuch is desirous to be baptized after hearing the gospel. He says, see, he has water, what did hinder me to be baptized? And Philip tells me, if you believe with all your heart, which we know that's a prerequisite. This isn't from man, this is from God. We see all those snapshots. We don't see anybody going into the water in that example until they confess Jesus Christ is Son of God. And for it to have its effect, they must believe it with all their heart. And we understand, Paul says, for by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether Jew or Gentile, bond or free, and have all been made to drink into one Spirit. 1 Corinthians 12 and 13. We see also that it saves. Now, you people can argue that forever. 1 Peter 3:21 and 22. The like figure whereunto even baptism does also now save us, not the putting away the filth of the flesh, but the answer for good conscience toward God. By the resurrection of Jesus Christ is gone into heaven. Angels, authorities, and powers are made subject unto him. Made subject by God. And he told us, Jesus himself, Revelation 2:10, behold, the devil shall cast someone into prison. You have tribulation 10 days. He says, but be thou faithful unto death, and you receive everlasting life. If we can hold on to that, God will reward us. He will lift us up on that day. Believe me, you're going to want to wake up after you die in good standing with God and not being sent to hell. So if you can understand that, if you need to be baptized, hit the triangle. If you're listening, call one of the phone numbers that will open up under the bottom of the audio, and we will come and have someone to baptize you. If you're here, you need to be baptized, stay standing while we sit down. If you need prayer, come down, and together we stand and sing Heaven's Invitation. And tenderly Jesus is calling.